city. So let's get into it. Once again, give us a call right here, 901-324-7490. Or you may call 901-452-3094. And let's get right to it. Omar Baruti. Take it in any parts of it, Omar.
Good morning.
Take it from the back to the front, or from the front to the back.
Welcome to the Love Power Show.
Thank you.
You don't have your Sunday energy, get ready to sit right above.
Oh, man.
Make sure you call today. There are going to be some interesting topics. 901-324-7490 or 901-452-3094. And remember, this month and next month, you can shout out one of your favorite businesses, black businesses, because going forward into the new year, we're going to have Buy Black, B-U-Y Black, Buy Blacks, Buy Black Merchants, Buy Black, Buy Blacks.
Yes, sir. Let's take Memphis politics today, Omar. Let's take that.
You know, in the political arena, much of the money that comes through Memphis, that's supposed to help the people of Memphis, is controlled by those who have no interest in helping the people at the bottom. And even though Memphis is majority black, the money that comes through this city in terms of tax dollars goes to the majority white. Somewhere back in the day, we got confused. They were talking about minority set-asides, set money aside for minorities. And so that term was coined so that it could actually disenfranchise you even though you consider yourself a minority. And let's think about that. You're a minority where? Not on the earth. You're a minority where? Not in Memphis. Where are you a minority? So what happened is white men who had businesses gave control of their businesses to women, their white wives. And then the women were considered a minority. And as a result, they got contracts, although it was really their husband's business was transferred over. They got the contract, and you got disenfranchised. So they're talking right now about how little contract blacks get in Memphis. They always talk about women set-asides and things they can do for the woman, but the black woman is not benefiting like the white woman. And the white man is still benefiting because his woman is out in front, getting the money and bringing it to the house. That minority thing needs to go. The disenfranchisement was for black people, not for minorities. They should have said black. And don't be afraid to be called black. You're ashamed to be called him black. You don't want to be called that. But that's what happened to you, black man. They didn't have white slaves on the plantation. They had you on there. And they didn't call you no minority because you made up most of the plantation. That was your labor. They had the white man and his family on the plantation, but they had hundreds of slaves. So you were the majority. You were the one injured by what happened to you. So when you get out of slavery, then you should have, reparations for you. Not for minorities, but for you. In fact, when slavery ended in Mississippi, 2/3 of the people that lived there were black slaves. But because of lynching, they ran to the north to get away from lynching. As a result, Mississippi became a more white state, but you were the majority when slavery ended. Again, let's go back and reclaim who we are. We are black folk, and it should not be minority set-aside, it should be black set-aside. And let's make sure we do it right and quit running from who you are. God made you that way. He wrapped you in black cloth, and you're going to be wrapped in black cloth till they wrap you in a funeral outfit. Don't think it's going to change.
All right. Thank you, Omar. All right, we've got some broad topics here today, Talu.
Yes.
What do you say?
Well, I agree with Dr. Omar. It's obvious that we have super serious problems in every one of those topics that we're going to discuss today. Mm-hmm. It's one thing that that pose a trick or a flip on black Americans, and that is how to enter into business in the first place. Many of us believe that in order to go into business, you need to write a proposal and submit that proposal to SBA or some other kind of financial institution, or bank or whatever, to borrow capital. And in the process, it may take months to find out that you don't qualify.
Correct.
So what has happened then is a smart entrepreneur would have spent his or her wheels for months, hoping and believing that they presented a very nice proposal and financial package to be able to receive borrowed capital. But borrowed capital is also a bad idea, because when you borrow capital, the very next month you have a payment to make, even if you have not gotten a single customer. So you're going to make these payments out of the borrowed capital until the borrowed capital is gone.
Right.
And then most of us, most very good entrepreneurs, very good business thinkers, have this debt now, and it usually drives them underground. They start trying to evade making the, being accountable for the borrowed capital.
Running
So we really
high.
have to be smart people.
Yeah.
If you need capital to do anything, the very first thing you should do is approach your family members. I know it's hard, it's very difficult. They're gonna most of them gonna say no, 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 no. But if you put together a plan for them, a simple plan whereby they'll be able to invest a few dollars into what you're doing out of their paychecks every week, they'll do it. But if you hit them with, man, I need $1,000, I need $5,000, you're not gonna get it. But if you do set up for your family members first some type of a little subscription whereby they can make, $25 or $30 a week on their investment into your business, they'll do it. The next thing you want to do to acquire capital is to expand from the family to friends and associates with the exact same plan. Help them invest in what you're doing. Have your business plan written out in a way where you are not pushed for a huge influx of cash immediately. Look down the road, look down the future, and see where if my family members and my friends and associates invest this $25 a week into my company over a period of 5, 6, 7, 8 months, of which you have given them the plan, then you would have the capital that you would have gotten if the government had, financial institution would have loaned you a couple of grand. Because most of the time, small black businesses are only going after a very small amount of capital, maybe $10,000, $20,000, maybe $50,000 that they don't get. So we have to be smart as people and work our way out of the problems that we're in this economic system. Borrowed capital is only for corporations or business people who have an ongoing business and they have a revenue coming in and they have certain expenses that they can meet with their revenue. Then you can borrow you some capital, because now you can make these payments out of your cash flow. But if you don't have that, forget that idea. It's a bad idea.
Bad idea.
Yeah.
So when I hear that, Talut, I hear a key word as in plan.
Yes.
But I also hear leadership.
Yes.
As I hear you.
Yes. Entrepreneurs are leaders, whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not. Huh? So, but that's what I hear when I hear you speak on especially the word, like I said, having a plan.
Yes.
So I can't stress enough how much I hear leadership coming out of this idea that you have just spoken about. And so, and you also said whether you like it or not. So leadership requires sometimes that you have to, as they say, stick to your gun, which means sometimes you have to stand alone because you're confident that your plan will work. Is that correct?
That is
Because you
absolutely
got
correct.
Family, then friends, relatives, etc., etc. Hey, give us a call right here at 901-324-7490, or you may call us at 901-452-3094. We've got a broad array of terms here that we'll taking a look at today. And back to you, Omar Baruti. What about that, Omar? What about the idea of planning? Also, another thing came to my mind, Omar, was the Dr. Claude Anderson's idea of group economics. I think some of that's taking place among us as a group, but not nearly enough. Group economics, Omar.
You know, my wife has a friend who does real estate, and she came by the house and we were talking, and she mentioned how she was selling some real estate to a Korean couple. And she went by their home, but when she walked in, she was a little bit early, and they were having some kind of business meeting. And she got a chance to hear some parts of the end of it. But there was a Korean couple that were trying to get a beauty supply place. And they had sat there, and all of them were in business, and they had sat there and committed money to this person who was not in business to give them money to start a business. That's the same thing I hear about the Jewish community. They finance and fund each other. Business people fund and other black businesses. That would be great. We don't do that. But these were Koreans sitting there, letting the person present what they were going to present, the area they were going to do it in, what they needed for supplies and whatever. And these were other Korean business people sitting there putting money on the table for them to get to launch their business. Jewish community, same way. They have that mindset. We're going to support ourselves, our own people. We're going to do it in a way where they don't have to go to the bank to borrow a nickel. They're going to get it from us, who are already in business, already making money off black folks, because that's where they put their shops at anyway. We're insane. We're insane to give our money to people who don't care about us, and then think that, you know, because they made us look like somebody. We didn't look like anybody before we walked in there. But then we feel like, you know, they're our friend. They're not your friend. They're bloodsuckers. And they're going to suck your blood as long as you hold your head out. You keep putting your neck out there, drinking it, or just keep drinking. You got to learn how to get your mindset has to be the same. But we are so divided after slavery. We are still divided after slavery. And we hate ourselves so much, we don't want to see a black person rise and get our money. And we look at it. If a Chinese or a Japanese or some other kind of niche had a Mercedes-Benz, you say, oh yeah, you're doing good. But if you gave your money, but you're the one that made them do good because you gave your money.
Right.
But if you gave that to a black merchant, then you're jealous of the fact that they got a nice deal, they got a nice home. But again, that's because of self-hatred. You hate yourself so much you don't want to see nobody in your community rise up. But you don't mind if everybody around you rise to the sun, the moon, and the stars, and then your black folk gonna be in the ditch, still trying to struggle to get out. So we got to change that mindset, and we got to come together as black merchants. And we did have one time have a Black Merchants Association, and we had a book that we could use to go and find out who are the black merchants that give us these services and these products, and then we could shop with those black merchants. Got a former customer of mine when I had Allstate Insurance, Sing T. Kong. He's a geography professor at the University of Memphis. He tracks all Chinese students that come through the University of Memphis. He teaches geography, and he's head of the geography department. But he tracks all Chinese students to make sure when they leave that school, they get a good job. That's his job. He don't track black students, whites, he'll track Koreans. And me and my wife been at least a couple of times to some of the events where they have these Chinese celebrations. And it's all Chinese, except we saw one thing that was peculiar. There was a karate demonstration. And it was a black karate expert teaching the Chinese children how to do karate. That was the only black we saw in the whole thing. But again, if it's a way to get the Chinese, they're going to do it. He told me himself when he gave me his insurance for his house and his rental property and his car, he said, if I can find a Chinese agent, I will give it to them, but they are none. So I'm going to give it to you. I'm not giving it to white folks, I'm going to give it to you. And I was his agent until I left Allstate. For about 15 years, I was his agent. And we still talk even today. But again, Chinese stay with Chinese, Koreans stay with Koreans, and we stay with the Kool-Aid John drinking all this kind of nonsense.
But you're right, we see this among other ethnic groups, and not so much among black people, as you said, and you're saying that it's because of jealousy, self-hatred, and
ingrained in us, man. We have got to get it out. But the way you get it out is you got to teach the people who they are, who you really are, not the slave that escaped from the plantation, but the black man that built civilization. You don't know that about yourself. Your children need to know that about them. They have stolen our symbols and put them on the back of a dollar bill. We think the white man made those things. He didn't make no pyramid. You don't know about no, he made a fake pyramid downtown. But a real, if you go see a real pyramid, it's much bigger than that fake thing downtown. It's as big as a 40-story building. The pyramid they're talking about in Egypt, that thing is bigger than any building in the city of Memphis, taller than any building in the city of Memphis. Over 2.5 million stones in that building. But we don't know our own history, but we need to know our history. Too many African symbols on the back of that dollar bill, and they stole our symbols, and then they pretend like they invented it. We need to know who we are, and then we'll stop having that negative mindset about, black folk, period, around the earth. If we know our history, and that's the first thing I teach my children when we get into the world, who are you? Because you don't know unless I tell you.
Talu, there was a group that came here, I guess, 3 or so, 4 years ago, and I went to one of those meetings. Well, I went to 2 or 3 of them. And they had people come up and present their idea, something like what Omar said. And it's interesting to me that now you don't hear anymore about that particular group. It's Spark, but under Spark was, I guess, like an umbrella, and under Spark you had Edge, this and that throughout the city. And from what I could gather, they were blowing money, buying pizza and this kind of thing. And so it finally dissipated, kind of like the time when the Million Man March took place. And right after that, people were coming together, meeting, this, that, and other, and it died out. So what causes this inconsistency in your observation, Talu?
Well, throughout the years, I've been in the business community.
Yes.
For decades. And what it appears to me is that most of these startups are done with very little planning. And when I say very little, I mean hardly any planning, because it takes a great deal of intelligence to write a business plan, a proper business plan. You have timelines, you have functional flow charts, you have narratives and all these types of things that has to go into, and a budget, a projected budget. All of these things have to go into a business plan. So if you don't have any real knowledge of how to write a proper business plan, then if you do write a plan, it's going to be flawed. And if you try to follow a flawed plan, it's going to collapse. It's not the business plan is going to collapse, and the business will start up. Businesses have a nature. It's like a child. It's teaching the child how to take those first little steps. That's the same thing in a business idea. So it may take the small business steps, but it may have some inadequacy in the plan that cause it to die before it gets to the age of 3. It's simple. It's just nature, right? Okay. So most of the people who come before us are people who primarily have ambition. They're dreamers. Okay, they're dreamers, and they have no real solid background in business. Startups, which is a separate entity of its own, so to speak. You have to be quite a professional to start up anything, so to speak. It's not easy. Okay, so you have people who are professionals in startups. Okay, then you have people who are professionals in management of businesses. Okay, so when these people come into our community with their ambition, they want to be, okay, and they learn the want to be language, the language that we like as black folk. We love that flowery discord. We love that pomp and glory language, right?
Want to be, okay.
Yeah, right. So when these people come with that language, we are attracted to that language. Okay, we believe in language, not doing. We believe in words. And I know it sounds strange to say that, but words motivate us, not action. action should be the motivating factor, but words motivate. And we are led by words, and we end up taking part in things that don't produce, that drop or fail as you see it. And the last thing about that is this. It's all a trick. The whole thing is a trick to slow us down, to cause us to be marked in quicksand. We can't, you know, we have the drive. We want to do it as a people. We want to get out of this. But the things we are attracted to cause us to spin our wheels, so to speak. We can't get traction. We can't get out of what we're in to move forward. If you think about 45 million people in the United States of America who doesn't have anything to contribute to the economic world, that should let us know that there's some kind of trick behind this. Okay? And what we do, we waste our time involved in things that will not produce, could not produce, but it might not, I hope it produces, and all that superficial stuff. We get involved in things that will not produce. And we have to change our attitudes about that. We got to start listening to people who are in fact professional, who are in fact learned, like a scientist. We have to listen to the scientists. We have to listen to the scientists in economics, in business, in trade, and commerce. Someone who knows this stuff. And what our problem is, sometimes we meet people like that, then we turn around, instead of listening to the person or the people like that, we ask them, where's your wealth? If you know all this, how come you ain't got no money? Crazy, insane stuff. Get the knowledge and you go get the money.
Okay. Now let me ask you this. You mentioned, let's look at this word, flaw. You said that oftentimes the plan is flawed. And if you get involved with these flawed plans, you are going to fail. So let's take a look at some of the flaws. And we're talking about black people or African Americans, if you will. What are some of the flaws that we run into as a group of people? So let's dig into that as much as we can.
Sure.
And go get over here to Omar when you finish.
Look, a business plan is a schematic, okay? It's a strategy. It's a detailed operation in itself.
Okay.
If you can see the success in the plan, the success is there. Now comes logistics. Now come all the other elements to bring it into existence, right? And it's militaristic. Okay. It's not just you sit down at the table, you write up something and it's written in an orthographic form or something and it's all eloquent and laid out and beautiful. No, it's a military plan, because business is a conquest. You have to be able to conquer something that you're going after. If you can't come up with that mind or that developed mind, you won't be able to conquer. Okay, whatever it is you're going after. It's like the technology today. When we're on our phones and we hit these apps, and these apps send us here and send us there, somebody took time, a programmer, took time and strategically and detailed the logarithms to be able for you to get to where you're trying to get to on that app. And it's thousands of apps. A business plan is the same way, okay? Or any other plan to enter into the community is the exact same way. And if you can't think like that, get somebody who can. See, the flaws in our planning or in our effort, I'm not going to say our planning because I rarely see a very good plan in any perspective from our people. Okay, but what we end up involved in is flawed in that certain elements of what would be a plan are not there. But a true entrepreneur know that that element should be there. But if you try to express it to the people, if I saw something in the plan, I said, wait a minute, something is missing here, then the people I'm talking to would attack me because they have been bought. They have bought, what is this, lock, stock, and barrel, the so-called plan of the eloquent speaker. You see what I'm saying? So here I may say, hey, hold up. You didn't add this in it. Express what this is about. Why you didn't put that in the plan? That person could attack me because this is all to what? Hold our progress back. Keep us from achieving what we need to achieve to be a people. And so now the people who are in the environment to learn the plan now see the person with the real knowledge as the enemy. And that's the problem with us. That's the number one problem. We don't believe in ourselves. We believe let me back up. We don't believe that we can achieve great things because in our little lifetime we haven't seen great things achieved by us. We go back into history and we can say, oh, we invented the refrigerator, the automatic transmission, the light posts, the electric switch, you name it. But that's back in the past, okay? And that's generations ago. So generations today have not witnessed any explosion in entrepreneurship or inventing, okay? So I hope I answered your question about the flaws. I know it was quick, fast, and hurry, but it's there.
Well, I think you've done a damn good job, I'll put it that way. But Omar, I'm going to turn to you now. And since Talut has done such a damn good job, he talked about expressing ourselves, and I'm going to add creativity in there. So Omar, discuss, if you will, flaws, and also another key word Talut mentioned. So let's make it flow. Let's go from flaws to what flows, but also logistics. So can you see in there a flaw that will flow, but also give us logistics? Discuss that with Omar.
You know, I guess since age 23, I've been in business. I got my first business at 23. I had a grocery store. I was still teaching school, but I had a grocery store. And then about a year later, I had a pest control company. And at 24, I had 5 rental properties because I took the money I got from those businesses and I bought real estate. And just last month, I turned 74, so 51 years of being a landlord, and nothing's changed. But again, when you go into the business arena, you have to look at supply and demand. What do people want and need, and how can you supply it? And sometimes you have to create demand for something so you can supply that demand.
Right.
And people do that all the time. You know, breakfast was not a regular meal until somebody named Kellogg's invented the idea you need to have something to eat before you go out that door. And so it came with Kellogg's cornflakes, and right now it's a foundational meal. You gotta have breakfast, school breakfast, whatever kind of breakfast. Although there are plenty of people around the globe that don't eat breakfast because they never heard of it.
Right. That's right.
But you gotta became silent.
You know.
Okay. So I can't hear myself.
Neither can I.
Okay.
You good?
Yeah. So again, the supply, if you have supply and demand, you understand that supply demand cycle, then you can step into that arena and then try to be the supplier to meet that demand. If you look at the way we do it too, though, they have Chinatown. What's in Chinatown? A lot of Chinese businesses. And who supports them? Primarily Chinese people, but also other folk who want to get some Chinese items. They come there too. They have little Havana. They support their own people. Koreatown. In fact, in San Francisco, they got 5 Korean banks that Koreans, bank with. And if you don't speak Korean, you can't even work there. They're gonna bank with each other and bounce that money in their community. And like it or not, that's who they are, that's what they do. But you don't understand that, and you go in a whole different direction with your money. Thinking, well, then we got Tri-State Bank, but whatever. You always find a reason why you can't do that, why you can't go there and put your money in that particular merchant's pot. And that's sad for us because of self-hatred. But again, they stick together as ethnic groups. We don't do that, but we got to learn, go back and learn how to do it. But again, it starts with self-knowledge. You got to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you can erase what was done to you in slavery and what was done to you after slavery. So we got to go back to that. And like Dr. Lou said, business is war. That's constant warfare. And you got to make sure that you don't, when you go into business, you don't squander your money, because some people do that. They'll go into business, everything they make, they spend on luxury and BS. And we spend enough on BS. I see people coming to my office right now. I guess that back a few years ago, they called it exploded jeans. Jeans with holes in it. I'm thinking that's the kind of jeans we used to throw away. And now you go to the store, pay $40, $50 for a pair of jeans with holes in it. That to me is insanity. Why don't you just buy a regular pair of jeans and put your own holes in it? If you want something with holes in it. But you're drinking out the white man's Kool-Aid jar, and you don't mind drinking out of his jar because it'll keep you insane and it'll keep you at the bottom, robbed, poor, and helpless. And that's what he wants you to be, and you don't know how to escape. I had a member of my office yesterday talking about hair and nails. And I looked at her nails, and I knew that didn't come from a black shop. And then she wanted to defend why she went to a Korean shop. And I'm telling her, I don't care what they do at the Korean shop, I wouldn't give them a dime. I said, if you found a black merchant that didn't treat you right, go find another one. The Jews, they will go from one Jewish merchant to another Jewish merchant to another Jewish merchant until they find one that's going to do what they need to do for a price they can afford. They're not going to say, I ain't shopping no more Jews, I'm going to go find me a nigga to do my work. They don't do that one. They ain't drinking out their Kool-Aid jar. So, but don't you drink out of it. If that one didn't treat you right, and then she talks about her hair, and she said, well, a Korean she did me like this, so I went back to my soul sister to get my hair done. But I don't let them touch my hair. You shouldn't let them touch your nails.
Right.
If they're a Korean shop, then let the Koreans support them, not you. Go put your money in your own job, and then you can quit talking about why your children can't find jobs because you don't support your own. $1.7 trillion floating through our community, and you don't put not one nickel into the hand of a black merchant that can help them and their families and their children and the people in the community get jobs, then that's on you. Don't complain about it if you don't go and make it happen. I want to make this too.
Go.
We write love letters all the time, but sometimes we don't write love letters till we get on our deathbed. We have children sometimes who are wayward. We know they're off track. We know that if we don't get them back on track, they may not make it for another few years. I want to talk to you about Best Solutions Insurance. We have family members that are not eating healthy. They got lifestyle that's causing them to have a shorter lifespan. Call Best Solutions Insurance, 901-230-5048. That way you can write a love letter today so that for years into the future, they'll be able to read that love letter and know how much you cared about them. You got to do that right now. Samantha Green at Best Solutions Insurance has been in the insurance business for over 20 years. She's there to help you. If you have no health problems, and you want a perfectly good rate, hey, you can do that and get it done. $20 can buy a young person in their 30s $100,000 worth of insurance for them and their children. If you're older or elderly or have bad health, call her again. She works for 20 different insurance companies. She can supply your need, even if you have health. And nobody else will write your insurance policy on. Call her. 230-5048. Best Solutions Insurance. We got to buy black, buy blacks.
Okay, Omar, any new developments with your NACA program? Well, you just mentioned yesterday you saw the lady with some fancy looking nails and you knew they were not from a black person. You knew they were from a Korean. How could you tell these nails were Korean nails?
Now this lady actually drove to Memphis from Clarksville, Tennessee.
Okay.
And this watch I'm wearing was a gift from her when I helped her get clothes on the house.
Hold on a second. Hold on, caller. I'm coming right to you. Hold on. Be patient. A little patient. Go ahead, Omar.
It's a gift from her when I helped her get clothes on her house. but she set up a 501c3. She wanted me to help her set it up because somebody wanted to charge her $2,000. I tell you, you come to Memphis, I'll do it for free.
Right.
So we sat down and set it up and get all the paperwork out of the corporation, the bylaws, you know, all that stuff that we have for the Love Power Community Action Committee. And as we were sitting at the table, I was, you know, trying to show which way to go, how to get it all done and get recognized for Internal Revenue. And I just happened to see the nails and the eyelashes and the other stuff.
Right.
And but again, I have to put people in check because you are destroying your own community when you do that. And then you complain about you. And of course, one thing I had a soft spot with her son who had epilepsy. Her husband was killed in a shooting in Memphis, not in Memphis, but in Jackson, Tennessee last year. She got a house to Nacker. And when he was shot in Jackson at a Sonic restaurant, he was in the crossfire of a gang shooting. He got shot in the head. The hospital in Jackson couldn't do the operation, so they airlifted him to Memphis. And when they brought him to Memphis, she came with him. She drove to Memphis because he had to go to the regional medical center for that operation that they needed that Jackson couldn't do. And so she was crying when she came by the office because she said, I'm going to stay with my husband and I won't be able to pay any bills because they said it's going to be here a few months. So I called NACA because she's a member of NACA. She bought a house through NACA. And NACA told her, let us know how he's doing. And for the months you can't work, we're going to make sure your house note doesn't get behind. And he was in the hospital for 3 months before he passed away. So for 3 months she didn't pay the house note. Because when you come to NACA and get your house through NACA, you're still a member of NACA till you pay your house off. And NACA will not let your house foreclose. If you have something like that happen, something you have no control over, they won't let your house foreclose. That's just how NACA operates.
Mm-hmm.
So as a result, you know, that meeting happened, and I was crafting some time to help her get her 501c3 set up. Her son had epilepsy, and he just died 6 months ago. Had epileptic seizure. And now she's set up a foundation to help other parents who have children with epilepsy navigate the streams of what you must do, got to do to protect your child from those kind of things happening when that crisis occurs. And she's working with Austin Peay University. I told her to go to Austin Peay. They have some free workspace over there. So she worked with Austin Peay University to get some space to put her 501c3 once she has it up and running. But again, NACA, if you are in need of a house, and you should own where you live. You quit renting. Own where you live. NACA is the place to go. You can't beat the mortgage rate, and you can't beat the mortgage assistance before you get the house and after you get into your home. That's the way NACA works. It's a 501c3. It's been around for over 30 years. I've been there 5 years and going on 6. But again, I enjoy helping my people get into home. These are people who never thought they'd even have a house. And now they have a beautiful home to live in for them and their children, or a retirement home to live in their golden years. But there's nothing that beats NACA. They don't look at credit scores. You can erase them off the paper. They don't care nothing about your credit score. The interest rate, if you're low to moderate income right now, the interest rate is 2%. There's no down payment. There's no closing costs. Most companies you go to, they want 3.5% down, 10% down, 20% down. NACA is 0% down. But again, come to NACA.
Okay, real estate, home ownership is the basis of wealth. Renting is to be impoverished. Maybe you rent for a while, but your goal should be, as you pointed out, Omar, should be to own where you live. Hold on, call a couple more things, I'm coming right to you. A couple of things that still stand out to me are flaws, logistics, discipline, and sacrifice. A flaw is something that inhibits one's progress. You've heard of character flaws. It's something that gets in the way, as Talib pointed out, of your progress, of accomplishing your goals. So what I hear is the idea of retrospect, introspect, and respect. I hear that coming out. And logistics are something that you have to plan, and it helps carry you over the fence. It helps you to reach your goals and objectives in life. And Omar pointed out that oftentimes we don't have the discipline to achieve these goals because we are unwilling to make the necessary sacrifices. Give us a call right here, 901-324-7490, or you may call 901-452-3094. Go ahead, caller. You've been waiting patiently. Go right ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Pearl. How's everyone doing?
Hey, Pearl, how are you? Doing good.
I'm doing wonderful. September is my busiest month of the year, and I had three extra days this past month, and my birthday was last Sunday, so it's been a lot going on, but it's always a pleasure.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Do you want the pipeline update, or do you want me to comment on a topic? What would you like?
Both. I think we all agree. Both.
Okay, so it's been about a month ago on the county side and 3 weeks ago on the city side, but we did help to pass ordinance 5795, and that's dealing with the railhead protection overlay. And the railhead, there's at a different point at which MLGW gets water from the aquifer. And so, all the areas where they bring the water up from the Memphis and aquifer, and that's about 20 to 25% of the city of Memphis, according to the zoning administrator, Josh Wellhead. So we've got to protect the other 75% by
We lost her.
It's her fault.
Is what, Dan?
It's her fault.
October 19th, and I will just keep y'all posted on that. So we've been working on 3 pieces of legislation. One has passed, and we're working on 2 more, and so we knew it's going to be, a potentially long journey, and we're in it for the long haul. So that's where we are with that. And then as it relates to also in energy PBA, they announced a couple of months ago that they were taking the coal ash from Allen Steam Plant, which is highly toxic, and they were going to take it over to this place called the Republic Landfill. It's near Malone and Holmes Road, and so there's a lot of pushback, as it should be, because whether they're going on the expressway to get over there or they're coming through the city, they got to pass the residential neighborhoods, and so that stuff is just too toxic. But the past 2 weeks, they had a forum where they took questions from the public regarding that, and I'll just keep you all posted on that. But at this time, they're not going to put it out there, but that's where they're wanting to put it. And the other site was down in Tunica, and so I'll keep you all posted on that. But we don't need the coal ash anywhere in the city of Memphis. It's highly toxic, and I'll just end on that. But if you had a comment or a question.
Well, I want to ask you about in your organization and meeting with people and reaching out to achieve goals and objectives. What role do flaws play in some of these organizations and meetings that you attend? Discuss with us the problem of flaws, a flawed plan, a flawed group, flawed leadership, flawed this or that. Go ahead.
Okay, great. And I heard Brother Talib's comments around flaws. So I guess that the flaws come from a lack of information and not knowing enough about what it is that you're trying to embark on, whether it's a business or you're an organization trying to do something in the community. A lot of times people don't know enough, and then the flaws also deal with the structure of the business or the organization. And I say finally, integrity and accountability. So I'm I'm affiliated with just a few, it used to be quite a bit, but just a few organizations in the city now where I'm active. And one is my high school alumni board. And so I'm president of the Fairleigh High Class of 79, but then I'm also an officer on the alumni board. But what I love about working with the alumni board is that, we're at an age where we are bringing our skills and our life skills and expertise to the table when we embark on different projects as it relates to supporting the school. And then also, secondfold, resources and the accountability and integrity piece. When we meet and we carve out a project and everybody has their assigned duties, everybody does what they say that they're going to do. Sometimes, things kind of fall short because life happens and circumstances happen. But it's great working with an organization and the people are accountable and they have integrity and people say that they're going to do what they want to do. And so about the resource part, a lot of the organizations that are rooted in our community, we don't have the resources to properly implement the goals, the projects, enact the mission statement. And so when you say flaws, the lack is dealing with the information, the structure, people not being organized, resources, accountability, and integrity. And then I'm also a part of In the Journey, and we do work around accountability and integrity quite a bit when things fall short. And then as it relates to businesses in our community, I see over and over again, people open business, they can cook some wings really good and the wings taste really good, but that behind the scenes piece, the structure, the bookkeeping, the record keeping, which is no excuse now because we have all this stuff and technology that supports that, but the customer service piece, and I know about, it can be challenging dealing with people who look like us as clients and as customers, but nevertheless, that doesn't let the business off the hook for the portion that they are accountable for. But again, a lot of the businesses I work with, they don't know enough about what they're embarking on.
Okay, well, thank you.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pearl. Oh, before you go, say something about your show on Tuesday. What time is your show? What's the name of your show? What will you all be discussing this Tuesday coming up? It's from 5 till 7, is that right, on Tuesday?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. So it is Metro State of the City, hosted by yours truly and Reverend Dr. Kevin Brooks. And we deal with hot topics, local issues, and politics. It's every Tuesday from 5 to 7 p.m. Central Time here on AM 1600 WMQM. And additionally, you can find us at the same time live on Facebook on the Visicom Media group page. So this Tuesday, we have Stanley Campbell, Cam, and Tinsley. So we'll be dealing with the Tinsley Awards. That's this Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we're going to actually have Tammy Sawyer. You guys got it here first. We'll be sharing that soon. But Tammy Sawyer, Commissioner Sawyer, has been our most requested guest since we've had the show. And she'll be joining us next Tuesday. Coming up, we have Brittany Thornton and some other candidates. The Shelby County Registrar, Shalonda Ford. She's coming. I don't have that date in front of me. Shelby County Clerk wanted to have us, but we're trying to get some of these people in from these positions on the show so people can understand what those offices are about and how they can access them in the best way and get, because those are tax dollars that are running those offices. So we need to know about them, what they have to offer as it relates to the county registrar. They just opened a new office in the Southbrook Mall in Whitehaven. Clark Brown, he just opened an office in the Southbrook Mall just a couple of weeks before that. And as you, Brother Omar was talking about the home ownership, so one thing in particular that the registrar's office has taken up is dealing with these deeds and people stealing property from people, and those are deeds and things like that, and just going in and acting like they're representing an individual. And so a lot of that has been going on, especially in our communities. And so we're going to be talking about that and what that office has just set up something special to just deal with that particular case within everything that the register of deeds deals with. So
All right.
always some work to be done.
Always. And your show is Memphis State of the City. And
Yeah.
and when I hear that, I definitely hear politics. Politics all the way. And I'm all about my politics. And so now we really need to hear from these people running for these positions. What is their platform? What are their ideas? And do they have a vision for this city of Memphis? And I hear coming out of your commentary some vision, visionary processes, if you will, when I hear you discuss some of the issues and guests that you'll be hosting on your show. So thank you. We thank you very much again, Ms. Pearl, and keep up the good work. I'll be listening.
Thank you all, and have a wonderful week.
We got a call.
Thank you. We have another caller?
Yeah.
Go ahead, caller, since we're on this road. Go ahead.
Judge Joe Brown here. How you doing?
Doing good. How you doing, Judge Joe Brown?
This Pearl's been doing some good work.
Yes.
We were talking about one of the problems she's mentioning without naming it is our tendency to have slid doing just half-stepping work for those formative years in our lives. We didn't do our homework, we faked it, and that kind of thing. And when you get into real world, all dotting I's and crossing the T's.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have the bookkeeping, like you said, the ability to relate to your customers, knowing how to interact with them so they feel good, those things. But one of the interesting points that we have to deal with, and that is spreading information, is that she's allowed some of her guests, and some of them I identified some of the biggest problems the black community has, but they're not good for us.
Okay.
One in particular.
Yeah, that should be coming out as we proceed. But go ahead with that particular one.
That's Miss Tammy Sawyer.
Okay.
Has done every damn thing she can to keep these voting machines from being replaced, went along with Van Turner on this scam about getting public property that belongs to the city of Memphis and the people thereof for $2,500 a lot, which is worth tens of millions of dollars now to get rid of Nathan Bedford Forrest and Jeff Davis on a scam where they sold it without bid. And a few other things, also storing those statues in a relative's very inexpensive storage facility for thousands of dollars a month instead of donating them to a Gotti Rev, donating them to a Gotti Rev museum, and a whole bunch of other stuff like that. See, that kind of stuff needs to be exposed because this city is going nowhere until we get these steaming politicians out who have compromised themselves with their curiosity or they're keeping stuff under the table. And one of the big problems we've got in the Memphis area comes from a recent reiteration by the U.S. Supreme Court that corporate entities cannot be discriminated against because they're fictional people, so they should be able to donate and participate in the political process. What has happened is contracts going to corporate entities, and these corporate entities are funding big chunks of money back to the elected officials who authorize these boondoggles and their faith, where we take taxpayers' money to build businesses and structures and edifices that they get paid for and sometimes to operate. And that goes back to the elected officials that voted for that. And under the law in Tennessee, if they declare it, they can convert it to personal use and pay the taxes on it. So it is a scam that needs to be exposed and stopped. Next
Okay.
year, we've got a big election coming up with all of the judges on the ballot. I would suggest not wait till election day to vote for something, hand out sample ballots. You could have some very bad scoundrels on there for judge who are enemies of our community. Remember what I did, and I know some of them very well. They're scoundrels. Some of them are good, but a whole lot of them aren't. We need to find out who they are now. In fact, one of the most important offices is the district attorney. And we've got Linda Harris running for that. We need to get behind her to get that evil, corrupt witch, Amy Wiley, out of there.
Okay.
And we need, very importantly, to get through voting machines. Otherwise, we won't have an election. 3 administrations have had their justice departments come into this area, and each of them has been in agreement. We have not had a fair election since 2000 because these machines are corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
And Tammy Sawyer, by the way, voted again and again to keep from replacing these machines. But right now, there's a big mess going on about the city council jumped in, saying they need to have replaced machines. But the mess now is there is great opposition to any paper recordation, so you can keep an audit on who's voting.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Judge, let's do this, Judge. I want to bring Taluk in, and then Omar will come back around because I want to discuss the problem with the lack of information. You know, Pearl also pointed out that one of the problems when I asked her the question is the lack of information, and that led to some comments that Taluk made as well. And as she said, there's always some work to do. And listening to you just now tells me that, yes, that's true. We have plenty of work to do. Taluk, I want to come to you now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the problem with the lack of information.
Mm-hmm.
I especially like that because what I heard you say earlier pointed in that direction. And then Omar and back to the judge. Go ahead, Taluk.
Well, information is intelligence. I mean, point blank. We have intelligence operations going on in the United States of America for the world.
Yes.
Well, we should have intelligence going on within our community as well about things, about everything. Okay, the more intelligent we are, or the more we acquire intelligence, the more intelligence we would become as a people. Okay, but we don't think, the problem with that is this. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, we're lazy. Because we're at 10. It's the highest. We're lazy people. We really don't want to do the things that you have to do to become a people. Okay? Look, I'm going to divert just briefly back to business. I once had a book back, now I started my business when I was 23 also, a restaurant called Salam Steak and Table. Great operation. But back then I had this book that I read called Business Warfare. And this book laid out basically why militaristic thinking should be in business as well. And this was during the corporate takeover era. You know, when you remember the era when a lot of big corporations, when they were doing these takeovers, well, this was during that era. Now, then, so developing a business warfare mentality, meaning that If an ethnicity is in your community doing business and are not living up to your standard and your values, you take over. You take it over. Okay, but do you have the gut and the heart to organize in a way where you become competitive with that other ethnicity that's planted in your community to the point whereby you take over their business. You take business away from them. Even if you have to destroy them. Take over the business. Look, we're talking about billions of dollars in the black community. I think Brother Omar brought up once, said that it was like $1 trillion, Dr. Omar,
At least 1 point.
in the black community, and we don't benefit from a damn dime of it as a people. We have to be a people who are primarily insane.
Insane.
Okay? See, other ethnic groups will start a war on you and force you to do what you have to do to get the wealth. So we're going to have to build wealth. We have to have a war mentality. We have to have the mentality that calls us to want a share of the world like everybody else. We shouldn't be a passive people sitting around allowing people to come in our community and rake millions of dollars out of our community, and we tend to not give a damn about it, but like what they sell. That ain't the right attitude, because business is jobs. Jobs means good livelihood for other people in your community. So if we don't have the intelligence and the gut and the balls and the gall to go after the wealth, then we're just gonna be slaves. That's what a slave does. A slave just allow things to happen to him. Okay? We allow things to happen to us for what? Just for the sake of the Lord. And the Lord don't give a damn about your condition. You got to care about your own condition, then the Lord will help you. But your condition is what it is because you're stupid. You're stupid people. Look, once I had a business called Brown Sugar Pantyhose. My partner, Wally Shaheed, and I were the only 2 African Americans who was concerned about pantyhose. Back in the day when pantyhose were real popular, black women bought them by the, oh boy, millions. Okay, so, but.
Well, I remember that.
Yeah. The thing is, I had a takeover mentality. I wanted to drive all the white boys out of the pantyhose business. I mean, drive them out with force. Well, my partner was just a little different, but he had to come on with it. So my idea was that if black women are wearing pantyhose, then black people need to benefit from that, period. Okay? So I go into stores with the takeover, and I was successful, and he and I together were successful in acquiring over 250 stores that we put pantyhose in. Racks. Now, when I say stores, I mean, you remember those racks with the pantyhose on? You got 40 pocket, 20 pocket?
Yeah.
I mean, we had 200 and over 240, maybe 50 stores with racks in them in Memphis, Tennessee. And maybe a few in Arkansas and Mississippi. But that was a monumental thing. That wasn't an easy thing to do. That was very difficult. Okay, but what business warfare has in it, the ingredients in it, that you have to desire, you have to want to do it, you have to be about that. And you got to use the kind of language that force people to recognize you and recognizing your will to serve this community. It wasn't about serving the store. It was about serving the black women in this community, which we have a right to. So if we're going to do anything as a people, we're going to have to develop a war mentality. I'm sorry to tell you that. I mean, I don't want to tell you that, but every other business in the United States of America apply militaristic principles to get to where they're going. What do you think about Facebook? What do you think about all these people? You think they just passively walk in and say, I want to be a Facebook internet organizer? No, excuse my language. No, it's about takeover. It's about force. It's about your will being, it's about having an irresistible will in your own community when it comes to trade and commerce. We should look. If the Latinos, if the Koreans, if the Arabs and others do not bend to the will of the African American community, we should take over their businesses and kick them out. Have a war, physical war with them if we have to. But if we come to them as a people with force and power, they'll bend because they're making millions of dollars. Okay, but if they don't, but this requires leadership. Let me tell you, you can't do anything without leadership, and that's our problem as a people today. We don't have leadership. We don't have anybody that can tell us as a people what direction we need to be going in and what we need to do that we respect. Because we don't want to respect anybody who wants to tell us what to do the right way.
All right, I want to turn to you, Omar.
Go ahead.
I'm
sorry.
The lack of information. How detrimental is the lack of information to us as a group when it comes to practicing group economics? The lack of information. We've got a little more than 10 minutes. Let's move with the quickness.
You know, there's a song by Project Pat that don't save her. She don't want to be saved.
Right.
Some people don't want information. They love living in ignorance, and that's horrible. So information is critical in order to move forward in any kind of business arena. Look at the style of war that they waged on the black community that Dr. Lip's talking about. Back in the day, there were black businesses all over the place. Now, every time you pull up to a gas pump, it's owned by an Arab. It's owned by somebody that don't look like us and don't care about us. So they have had a silent war in our community, and they're still waging that war, and we have gone to sleep.
Exactly.
As if we don't really, we're not aware or don't care. But we should care, because those are jobs that now our children don't have, our members of our community won't get, because they got our money. And they supplying the same service that we could have supplied to our own selves. We've gone to sleep. I'm gonna make an announcement right quick. This is for the Memphis community and also for the conscious community. A few days ago, Fred Jones, if you know him, he was the husband of Khayr Nantanbu, who was the president of Memphis Qantas International. Fred Jones passed away. He had COVID shots last year, vaccinations. He got COVID twice after he had the shots. He got twice. But then, about a week or so ago, he had an accident at his home. Injured his head. He was put in the emergency room. He went to the hospital. He kept having seizures. And eventually, he died. So now his children are trying to get the funeral arrangements made. Right now, the tentative day is October the 16th. And I want everybody to know that this man was the husband of Khayr Nantanbu, a very strong supporter of Memphis Qantas International and the black community. And as I get more details, I will bring you up to date so we can know to go and pay our respect.
Omar,
Mr. Fred Jones.
is that the one that owned the
auto
bottle shop?
EMP R12.
Oh wow, yeah, I knew his son. Yeah.
Let me get back over here to you, Judge. The lack of information, Judge, and while you're discussing that, one of the things we want to touch on also today is a vision for this city. Will you discuss the lack of information, its detrimental effects on us as far as practicing group economics, and tie into that a vision for this city, Judge? We've got about 10 minutes to roll. Let's move with quickness.
Okay, as President Salute has said, intelligence is not your IQ he's talking about. They call it the intelligence community, which is information. It's spying out, sending out espionage agents to figure out what the other side is up to, what's going on in the world. That's what the Central Intelligence Agency was created for.
Yes.
To find out, assimilate, digest, and present the president with information relative to what's going on in the world. We need to do that, but we don't. And as Brother Rudy has said, this thing about everybody taking the money out of our community, well, we've got representatives that we elect, and it is a crying shame, but those representatives give away the tax dollars that we contribute so much to balloon sales tax and things like that, property tax and things like that, and they give it away to people that look nothing like us. They don't preserve anything for even generic small businesses.
Correct.
Which is what we need to get this place really going where it needs to go. See, that's a crime shame. We need to take every one of these crooks and turn them out, and a whole lot of people go to the penitentiary. Some people were lamenting a sting. Remember Tennessee Waltz?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I said they need to send every one of those low-down son of a bitches to jail because they robbed their own people.
Yes, sir.
Rushed them and put them in office.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
It wasn't theirs to take away. And there are some people that need to go to jail because they're still crooked. And they look at it as everybody's been doing this forever, so it's our turn to get great. No, it's not. It's your turn to do right.
Every day.
Quit being a scumbag scoundrel and start being somebody that has some understanding of what is required to be right for your people.
Exactly.
See, we don't pay attention to that because we have other agendas. And they're crooked agendas and nobody owns an office. Those offices belong to the people and they're occupied by individuals who are there to benefit the people that put them in.
Correct.
Now, with that, we've got a lot of things going on here, and we need somebody to start developing hydroelectric power using this Mississippi River. We need somebody to go to Europe and drum up business for sending large craft directly here. They load them up in Europe, put them on ocean-borne barge transport, bring that down to New Orleans, and then they come up to Memphis and unload at President's Island. But that needs to be a lot greater craft. Needs it coming the other way once things get manufactured in this area, because if we get the hydroelectric power, we will have people. Most people don't realize this. They have centers to do manufacturing where there is convenient fuel and energy. They bring the raw materials in. So that can be us, but we need somebody with vision to do that. We need something to do with making this police department part of the community. See, it is the fundamental responsibility of a community to police itself and keep internal public peace, dignity, and order. When that doesn't happen, what tends to occur is to turn it over to the police. But for the most part, the police don't live in the community that they are policing, and they look at their job as containment of some wild animals.
Correct.
This is an unpleasant result.
Correct.
So we have to start promoting masculinity and manhood so we can direct our community the way we ought to be directed. Police department doesn't need a civilian review board. It needs joint civilian control. There should be a director who is firm and responsible to the mayor in place along with the chiefs. And we've got one now for the first time in 40 years, which is a good thing. We should have a civilian sub-director over property crime, uniform patrol, homicide, every other thing, sex crime, so that we integrate civilians into the police department. So there is not this business thing. We need to use the Pentagon as a model. The U.S. has a civilian Secretary of Defense, a Secretary of the Air Force, Army, Navy, etc. We need that same kind of thing in Memphis so we have civilian control. We must involve the community in the process of policing itself and give certain collective means of communication directly to the police department. We must do something about the juvenile problem and give the police department the discretion to sign contracts with families and young youth who have been wayward but who have promised so if they get through the counseling and the remedial development to be put in place, they simply don't file the charges. And sit out of the DA's office if necessary and plumb this poisonous juvenile court. Somebody needs to seek the city attorney on juvenile court and have him brought up in front of the DI and explain that Western bank account they have with so many billions of taxpayer dollars in a non-bearing account that is being used to finance things that it should not be used for. There's a whole lot of things going on. Somebody needs to file a lawsuit on behalf of the city against the Memphis and Shelby County Juvenile Court to unprivatize it so it becomes an instrument of justice and reform rather than economic exploitation and profit to the shareholders of that privatized sordid mess down there. We need some other things going on here. We need some strict adherence to city planning and development so this place doesn't become a hodgepodge of uncoordinated growth and gets out of hand.
And you know, Judge, I'll tell you, we're almost out of time, Judge. I want to point out a couple of things. With regard to the police not living in the community and therefore don't care, don't give a damn because they see the people as their subjects who are animals. Something else I want to point out too, Judge, is that the school teachers, most of whom, same thing, do not live in the community. They can't wait till 3 o'clock so they can run out to their neighborhoods. They only have a job. So what I hear is that we're about to embark upon a situation where we're going to turn this situation upside down. Go ahead, Judge. What is your response to my comment? Go ahead.
Some of the police and the teachers live in the Memphis area. They just may not live in Orange Mountain, or they may not live in South Memphis. And that part of Memphis is alien to them, because if you drive around this city, you see there are actually 3 cities. Tri-City, not Tri-State, but Tri-City. There is the upper income area, which is as good as it gets in America. You've got a middle class area that is getting encroached upon, and then you have a bottom area that has been totally neglected. And that's the area where the police are outside aliens, because they don't live there. They don't live in the high crime areas. And we have to do something about redeeming those high crime areas so that they have a motive of manhood where they can self-improve, self-help, and develop economies.
All right, Judge,
Something for that.
we're about out of time. Final thought, starting with you, Talib, then Omar, and then me. Go ahead, real quick, Judge, we're out of time. Huh?
Nothing comes free, and it takes hard work. You want to be a success, the level of your success depends upon how hard you work or willing to work to get it. And do the right thing when you're about it.
Roll up your sleeves and get to work. Final thought, Talib.
Yes, Judge Joe Brown has just expressed what leadership is. See, we need someone, and I would advise everybody to follow Judge Joe Brown. Go online and follow him and pick up this information, this intelligence that we need to reform ourselves. And on Monday, on KickingItRadio.com, it's KICKYNIT radio.com, we rebroadcast this show.
All right, Omar, final thought.
You know, there was a song that Brother Libby said, wake up everybody, no more sleeping in bed.
Yes.
No more backwards thinking.
Right.
Time for thinking ahead.
Right.
Look, when I was in college, I took no dose. Come to the radio show. Judge Joe Brown is a good dose of no dose.
Thank you for calling in, everyone. Let's take it up next week, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Let's take it up next week. Thank you, everybody.
All right, everybody, thank you for tuning in to the Love Power Show. Here each Sunday